They fired a single dad from a secret facility, and by sunset, everyone inside believed the problem was solved, because for years they had treated him like he was invisible, just another quiet worker in a gray uniform carrying tools through polished hallways, fixing doors, repairing cables, checking systems no one else understood, and though executives passed him every day without learning his name, the building itself seemed to know him better than they ever did. His name was Daniel Reyes, 38 years old, widowed, father of a 10-year-old daughter named Mia, and every morning before dawn he packed her lunch, braided her hair the best he could, burned toast more often than not, laughed when she teased him for it, then drove across town to the heavily guarded mountain facility where cameras watched every corner and badges opened steel doors thicker than bank vaults. Daniel wasn't a scientist, wasn't a manager, wasn't someone whose name appeared in glossy newsletters, but when power flickered, they called Daniel. When elevators froze, they called Daniel. When servers overheated, they called Daniel. And when executives wanted miracles done quietly before inspection day, they called Daniel first. He always said yes, because overtime paid for Mia's school supplies, braces, and dance lessons. The facility was known only as Site 9. No signs on the road. No logos on the walls. Even employees joked they worked nowhere. Inside, it was a maze of labs, command rooms, biometric locks, humming generators, and underground sectors ordinary staff were forbidden to discuss. Daniel never asked questions. He had learned something after losing his wife to illness years earlier. Survival often depends on knowing when silence pays better than curiosity. Still, silence did not protect him from humiliation. His supervisor, Martin Hale, a man with expensive watches and cheap manners, treated Daniel like furniture. Reyes, Martin barked one Monday morning, conference room screen failed again, and if investors see one cable out of place, I'll make sure your weekend disappears. Daniel nodded. No complaint, no argument. That was his way. The younger staff liked him though. They knew he fixed their mistakes without exposing them. They knew he carried extra snacks for interns working late. They knew he kept a tiny drawing Mia made taped inside his locker, a stick figure dad wearing a superhero cape. Then came Thursday. Rain hammered the mountain roads. Executives rushed through halls with tense faces. Security doubled at every checkpoint. Rumors spread fast. Some foreign delegation was visiting. Something major was happening in the lower levels. Daniel spent half the day repairing a ventilation unit near sublevel 4, where even janitors needed escort clearance. As he worked, he heard shouting behind reinforced doors. Then Martin appeared. Reyes, office, now. Daniel wiped grease from his hands and followed. Inside Martin's glass office sat 2 HR representatives and a folder already opened. He knew instantly. They never offered chairs unless they planned to keep you. Budget restructuring, Martin said smoothly, avoiding eye contact. Your position has been eliminated. Daniel blinked once. My position? Yes. Outsourcing maintenance operations. Effective immediately. I've worked here 11 years. And we appreciate your service. That sentence hurt more than anger would have. One HR representative slid papers forward. Severance terms. Badge surrender. Non-disclosure reminders. No appeal. Daniel thought of rent due next week. Of Mia's school trip payment due Monday. Of the medicine bill still unpaid. He signed nothing. Instead, he placed his badge on the desk. When do I collect my tools? He asked quietly. Martin smirked. They belong to the company. Daniel looked around the office he had repaired 3 times for free. Then he said, good luck tonight. Martin frowned. What does that mean? Daniel simply walked out. No shouting. No threats. Just calm footsteps down a hallway he knew better than anyone. At home, Mia opened the door before he reached it. You're early, she said. Then she saw his face. What happened? He knelt. We're going to have to be brave for a little while. She hugged him hard enough to break something inside him and heal something else at the same time. That night he cooked spaghetti, helped with homework, and pretended everything was fine. After Mia slept, he sat alone at the kitchen table staring at unpaid bills. Then his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. No voice. Only static. Then 3 words. It opened itself. The line died. Daniel stared into darkness. Back at Site 9, alarms screamed through every corridor. The central system known as Aegis, a sealed network controlling locks, data vaults, power routing, and restricted chambers, had activated after hours. Without command input, without authorized login, doors across the facility began unlocking in sequence. Sublevel 1, Sublevel 2, Sublevel 3, security teams ran in panic. Screens flashed access granted again and again. But no username appeared. Executives were trapped in some sectors, locked out of others. Sensitive archives opened. Robotic storage units moved on their own tracks. Emergency protocols failed to override anything. And in the command center, every terminal displayed the same message. Authorized by caretaker. Martin Hale turned white. Who the hell is caretaker? An older engineer whispered. That was an internal nickname. For what? For the person who maintained the legacy backbone systems before modernization. Martin swallowed. Who? The engineer looked straight at him. Daniel Reyes. Martin ordered calls immediately. No answer. He sent security vehicles to Daniel's apartment. Too late. Daniel was already driving back voluntarily, because despite everything, innocent people inside could be hurt if the wrong chambers opened. Rain lashed the windshield. His old truck rattled uphill. At the gate, guards aimed lights at him before waving him through like a returning king. Inside, chaos. Scientists arguing. Executives sweating. Doors cycling open and shut. Power dipping. Martin rushed over. You did this. Daniel kept walking. If I had done this, he said calmly, you'd know. In the command room, screens flickered. The old engineer met him with visible relief. Daniel, Aegis is using maintenance pathways no one documented. It recognizes your credentials, but your badge was deactivated. Daniel almost laughed. They forgot the mechanical keys. He reached into his jacket pocket. Years earlier, during a network crash, the founders had issued him a physical override token shaped like an ordinary brass tool, because software failed but trust in competent hands did not. No one had asked for it back. No one even remembered it existed. He inserted it into a hidden panel beneath the main console. The room went silent. Screens shifted. A new prompt appeared. Welcome back, Daniel. Even Martin stared in disbelief. Daniel typed commands rapidly. He knew the system architecture because he had helped technicians patch it for years while executives ignored every warning memo he filed. Layer by layer, he isolated rogue automation loops caused by rushed software merger management had approved to impress investors. The unlock cascade wasn't sabotage. It was neglect. Aegis had defaulted to the oldest trusted profile when modern permissions conflicted. Caretaker. The one profile with authority across physical systems. His. How long until control is restored? A. Director asked. Daniel didn't look up. That depends. On what? Whether anyone interrupts me again. 30 minutes later, alarms ceased. Doors sealed properly. Power stabilized. Data vaults secured. Employees across Site 9 exhaled as if surfacing from underwater. Daniel removed the brass token and stepped back. Done. Applause began from the technicians first. Then others joined. Not executives. Workers. The people who knew what real value looked like. Martin stepped forward, forcing a smile. Daniel. About earlier, clearly there's been a misunderstanding. We'd like to discuss reinstatement, with increased compensation. Daniel turned slowly. For the job you eliminated. Yes, well, circumstances have changed. They have. He looked around the room. Then at the engineers, guards, cleaners, reception staff, interns, all the invisible people who kept the machine alive. You built a place full of genius, he said, and forgot to respect the people who keep the lights on. No one spoke. Martin's jaw tightened. Daniel continued. You fired me before asking what I actually did here. The director cleared his throat. What do you want? Daniel thought of Mia asleep at home. Of missed birthdays from overtime. Of years traded for scraps of appreciation. Then he answered. My severance. Paid in full. Done. My pension protected. Done. Healthcare for 6 months. The HR representative nodded rapidly. Done. And every contracted worker here gets review for fair wages. Murmurs spread. Martin snapped. That's absurd. Daniel looked at him. Then call another caretaker. Silence. The director overrode him instantly. Approved. Daniel placed the brass token on the console. I'm not coming back. Martin nearly choked. You're walking away. No, Daniel said. I'm going home. He left to a corridor lined with employees who moved aside not out of fear, but respect. Some clapped softly, some thanked him. One janitor wiped tears. Outside, dawn was breaking over wet mountains. For the first time in years, Daniel breathed like a free man. When he got home, Mia was awake at the kitchen table, cereal in front of her. "You left in the night," she said. "Work emergency. Did you fix it?" He smiled. "Yep." She studied him. "Are you going back?" Daniel sat beside her. "No." "Good," she said, spooning cereal. "They didn't deserve you." He laughed so hard he nearly cried. Weeks later, news quietly spread through private industry circles that several senior executives from Site 9 had resigned after internal audits exposed ignored maintenance warnings, reckless upgrades, and wrongful termination practices. Martin Hale disappeared from leadership lists entirely. No one missed him. Daniel used his payout to start a small repair and systems consulting business. Nothing glamorous, just honest work. He chose his own hours. He attended Mia's school recital. He stopped missing dinners. Clients trusted him quickly, because competence speaks loudly when paired with humility. Within a year, former Site 9 employees were calling him for help launching better companies with better cultures. And every now and then, Daniel received anonymous offers to return to government work for twice the salary. He deleted them all. One evening, while locking his workshop, Mia, now 11, walked in holding a cardboard sign she had painted herself. It read, "Dad's Fix-It Company. Owner, Hero." He laughed. "Hero seems exaggerated." She shrugged. "Not if a secret facility couldn't function without you." He hung the sign above the door. Customers loved it. Years later, when people asked how his business began, Daniel would smile and say, "I got fired." They laughed, thinking it was a joke. But he knew the truth many learn too late. Some doors only open after you're forced to leave the wrong one behind.